Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. Today I just wanted to make a quick video just sort of chatting about the sort of like little goals I've set myself this year. My reading goals, I guess, as it were. Now, I'm not one for setting myself goals that are going to massively influence what I read, and I'm also not going to. I'm also being quite conscious of not setting myself any goals that are too ambitious. Um, Basically last year I had absolutely no reading goals. It was just read what I want to read, and that actually worked out so well for me that I don't want to do anything that's going to sort of like hamper or encourage reading slumps. So let's just kick straight into it. Last year I read 52 books, 53 if you include the reread of the one book that I read twice that year. Um, so I've set myself a goal of 60 books. If I don't hit it, I don't hit it. It's just sort of like a rough guide as to where I want to be. I think if I hit 60 books, that will be my height. And I've mentioned a couple of times now I have this weird thing where I just want to read my height. Um, so hopefully this year will be the year. I'm going to try and maybe try and pick some easy reads that are also quite chunky. Maybe we'll see. um, yeah. Then next goal I've got is I'm kind of technically putting myself on a book buying ban. In the 1001 books tag that I did a few weeks ago, I counted my books, and I think at the time it was 491. It's now 494. And my birthday's this weekend. So I might end up treating myself again. But I'm going to do my absolute best not to. So yeah, to encourage myself to stick to this, what I've done is within my banking app, I have set up a little pot, which I can basically like siphon off money that it means I won't spend, and it won't count as my spending money. Like if I've got £20 in my pot and £4 in my current account, obviously I'll have more than that. It will only let me spend that £4. It won't let me touch that stuff in the pot until I transfer it back. It's kind of how it works. I really like having this. So I've basically set up a pot for books, and for every month I will go through my story graph and figure out how many books I read that month, and then for each book that I've read or each book that I complete, I'll put £2 into that pot. And if I successfully manage not to buy any books that month, I'll put an extra £5 into the pot. So hopefully this time next year, I will have a very, very excellent birthday book spending spree. There are obviously exceptions to this rule. I have a couple of subscriptions. They don't count towards buying books because they're kind of already paid for. And the only other real oh my gosh, what is the word I'm looking for? Deviant? No. Oh my gosh, I've lost my words. Exception! I'd already used that word. Oh my lord, I apologise, guys. The only other exception to my book buying ban will be for series that I am continuing. There's only 3 that I can think of off the top of my head. So the first one is the Natural History of Dragon books by Marie Brennan. I would like to buy those ones because I've already got the first 5. I think there's possibly 1 more that I need. So I get those. The second one is the Shadow of the Gods. Is it the Shadow? No. The Faithful and the Fallen series by John Gwynne. I think Shadow of the Gods is the latest one. So I started Malice last year. I finished it. Last month I bought Valor, I think it is, which I'll be buying at some point this year. Reading at some point this year. So hopefully, depending on how long it takes me to get through those, how quickly I go back to it, I will probably buy the last two in that particular series. If I want to start any new series, I've got to borrow them from the library or from someone who already owns them. That's the rules I've set myself. And yeah, the third exception is the Stormlight Archive, because I'm reading this as a sort of like informal book club with some friends. So those are my three, sort of like four exceptions to the book buying ban. Hopefully, by giving myself sort of like monetary incentive, I will be able to stick to this. I'm going to be so strong with myself, and really hopefully it sticks. It's part of like my overall, I don't want to say New Year's resolution, but an overall goal for myself just going forward in my general life is to cut out a lot of my spending. Um, we've got like a corporate discount website that we can go to through work, and just sort of like basically constantly asking myself, do I actually need this or do I just want it? And just being really mindful. I do want to redecorate hopefully in the summer at some point, so I want to save up for that. Yeah, so that's the book buying ban. It's sort of tying into the book buying ban, which is obviously one of the exceptions, as I've already mentioned, is subscriptions. I've got 3 book subscriptions. I've got my Mr. Beast subscription, which I pay for annually with my work bonus. I've got my box of book subscriptions, which I only go every 2 months, because I think getting 4 new books every month, I only read 4, 5, 6 books a month. Like 4 to 6 books a month is usually my average, so that is very excessive, and I would never get through them. So every 2 months is sort of like a happy medium for me right now. The other one I've got is the Fairy Loot. The Fairy Loot is a bit more pricey, because you're obviously getting bookish items with them and they are exclusive editions. So my goal for this year, because I've only recently gotten this one, I've only had 1 month of it so far, is to make sure that I am reading the books that come with the subscription, with specifically the Fairy Loot subscription. I pretty much always read my Mr. B's ones anyway, because those guys are magicians. They're geniuses. They have not gotten anything wrong yet. Yeah, and then my last reading goal is the only one that's actually, with the exception of the Fairy Loot one, is the only one that is going to have sort of like a direct influence on what I'm reading. Now, I've got about a dozen plus non-fiction books upstairs on the bookshelves, which they all sound fascinating and they all sound really wonderful and really intriguing. I've just not gotten around to reading them. I don't know, I was reading non-fiction semi-regularly, and then I read absolutely nothing last year. So I want to get back into that. So I've set myself a goal of 3 or 4 non-fiction books this year, which I think is very, very doable. I've got some really interesting, like not all, but a lot of the non-fiction I read tends to be sort of like biology and natural history and natural sciences based. I studied animal biology at uni. I wanted to be a vet once upon a time. That's just where my interests lie. So yeah, I want to hopefully read a bit more of that. But yeah, that is my reading goals. I'm sorry, this was very rambly and a bit more incoherent than normal for me, I think. So yeah, I'm going to wrap up here. Do you guys have any reading goals? Let me know. Let me know in the comments. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.